The red and blue lights danced across the still lake like some twisted disco while I balanced my late wife's upright piano on a creaky dolly, sweat mixing with the pine air that used to smell like hope. My 12-year-old Mia stood frozen on the porch clutching her rainbow art easel, the one thing that still made her smile after her mom's funeral, and whispered, "Dad, why are they here?" Because Patricia Patty Hargrove, self-appointed queen of Evergreen Lake Estates, had decided a grieving father hauling childhood memories across state lines was a clear and present danger to her beige utopia. Little did the clipboard-wielding tyrant know that calling the cops on us would be the dumbest move of her 14-year reign of terror. I'm Logan Whitaker, 51, freshly retired real estate attorney from Denver, and the last 8 months had already tried to bury me. My wife, Claire, lost her battle with cancer in February. The house in the city became a museum of ghosts, her coffee mug still on the counter, her laugh still echoing in the hallway. Mia, once the kid who filled notebooks with bird sketches and endless questions, had gone quiet. No more art, no more laughter that could light up a room. When I remembered the old family cabin on Evergreen Lake I'd inherited from Dad, it felt like the only place left that might still have air in it. So we packed what mattered and drove 6 hours north, chasing the ghost of something normal. Evergreen Lake Estates looked like a postcard, 47-seater shingled homes hugging the water, docks bobbing gently, loons calling at dusk. What the glossy brochure forgot to mention was the 23-page Covenant Bible enforced by Patty Hargrove like it was the 10 Commandments written in blood. 14 years as HOA president, unopposed because nobody wanted the job of finding neighbors for excessive emotional displays or non-neutral toy visibility. She drove a white Lexus that probably got detailed more often than most people brushed their teeth and wore pastel cardigans that screamed, "I'm just a concerned neighbor," while her eyes calculated your net worth. We'd been unloading for exactly 71 hours when she appeared on our gravel drive, like a bad omen in Sensible Flats. Clipboard in one hand, measuring tape in the other, steel gray bob never moving even in the breeze. "Mr. Whitaker," she announced without so much as a hello, "your moving truck has exceeded the 72-hour temporary vehicle ordinance. That'll be $50 per day starting now." I tried the polite route. "Ma'am, my wife passed 8 months ago. We're still settling in. Can we have a little grace?" Her smile was all teeth and zero warmth. "Grief doesn't exempt anyone from community standards, Mr. Whitaker. Rules are rules for a reason." Then her laser gaze landed on Mia's bright purple desk visible through the front window and the rainbow easel I was carrying inside. "Those items violate our neutral interior policy. Children's furnishings must be stored out of sight or painted in approved beige tones within 14 days. Mia's small voice cut through the silence. "But Mom painted this easel with me last summer." Patty didn't even blink. "Sweetheart, we cherish families here. That's why we maintain standards. Visible color lowers property values." I felt Mia's hand tighten on my sleeve. For the first time since the funeral, I saw something besides emptiness in her eyes. It looked a lot like fury. I should have paid the stupid fine and moved on. Instead, I smiled the way lawyers smile right before they drop the hammer. "I'll need that in writing, Mrs. Hargrove." And a copy of the exact covenant section. Her face twitched, just a flicker, but it was enough. She spun on her heel, muttering something about big city troublemakers, and marched back to her Lexus. The slam of her door echoed across the lake like a starter pistol. That night, Mia and I sat on the dock, feet dangling in the cool water. She pulled out the worn notebook she used to fill with bird facts and started a new page titled Patty Violations. "Dad," she whispered. She didn't give us any notice before coming on our property. "Isn't that illegal?" I stared at my kid, the same kid who'd barely spoken for months, and felt the first real spark of life since Claire died. "Yeah, Peanut. It sure is." The next morning, the war officially began. 2 sheriff's deputies rolled up while we were trying to will Claire's piano through the front door. Patty trailed behind them like a victorious parade float. "Officers, these people are causing a disturbance and violating multiple covenants," she announced, voice dripping concern. The older deputy looked exhausted already. "Ma'am, this is a civil matter. We don't enforce HOA rules." Patty's smile never wavered. "But they're moving furniture at 8 in the morning. Think of the neighbor's peace." Mia stepped forward, still in pajamas, notebook in hand. Mom taught me piano before she got sick. It's not loud. The younger deputy softened instantly. Sorry for your loss, kiddo. Patty's mask slipped. Sad stories don't change property law, officer. After the deputies left with awkward apologies, Mia looked up at me. She lied to the police, Dad. On purpose. I nodded. She did. And that's when my quiet, grieving daughter decided the beige dictator had picked the wrong family to bully. 3 days later, Patty launched her full inspection squad. Herself plus 2 rubber stamp board members who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. They marched around our yard snapping photos of Mia's bicycle, the swing set visible through the window, even the small memorial garden we'd started planting for Claire. Unapproved exterior modifications, Patty dictated. Excessive personal items visible from the street. Fines totaling $475. Mia tugged my sleeve again. Dad, the covenant says they have to give 48 hours written notice for inspections. I'd been a real estate attorney for 23 years and somehow missed that detail in my fog of grief. Not anymore. I walked over, calm as still water. Mrs. Hargrove, Section 4.7. Inspection Notice Requirements. You didn't provide written notice. All these citations are invalid. Her clipboard actually trembled. I've run this community since before you decided to bring your personal problems here. The prejudice dripped out like cheap perfume. Mia's voice rang clear across the yard. Mom always said bullies only pick on people when they're sad. The board members suddenly found their shoes fascinating. Patty's face went the color of a bad sunburn. This isn't over, she hissed, storming off in a cloud of exhaust and wounded ego. But it was only beginning. That evening, Mia spread every HOA document across the kitchen table like she was preparing for war. Color-coded highlighters, yellow for rules, green for money, pink for this is SUS. She looked up, eyes sharp for the first time in months. Dad, the rule about window colors isn't even in the original 2019 covenant. She added it herself. I pulled up county records on my laptop. What we found next made us both go still. The Evergreen Lake Estates Homeowners Association had failed to file annual reports for 3 straight years. Corporate status, dissolved. Patty had been collecting $400 monthly dues and issuing fines with zero legal authority for 36 months. Mia's grin was small but fierce. So all those tickets she gave us are fake. Worse, I said. She's been running a scam. Mia flipped to a new notebook page titled Operation Beige Downfall. Can we prove how much she stole? I looked at my daughter, the kid who used to count every day since her mom's diagnosis, and felt Claire's fire burning bright in her eyes. We're sure as hell gonna try. The next week was a masterclass in quiet chaos. Patty sent a community standards newsletter claiming new residents were disrupting the peaceful family atmosphere with garish children's items. Mia read it over cereal and snorted. She says we have multiple vehicles. We have 1 truck. And loud renovations. We haven't even painted. I laughed for the first time in months. She's banking on nobody fact-checking. Wrong, Mia said, already highlighting contradictions. Our first ally showed up on the porch that afternoon, old Mr. Ruiz from 3 cabins down, retired mechanic, widower himself. Wanted to warn you, he muttered, glancing over his shoulder like Patty might have spies in the bushes. She's been telling everyone you're unstable, and Mia's disruptive. Most folks are too tired to fight, but not all of us. He handed over a folder of his own violation notices, fined $300 for 2 ceramic garden gnomes because they were non-neutral. Mia added him to her growing list. While I dug into financials, Mia became a one-girl intelligence agency. She taught herself to read expense reports on YouTube, then built spreadsheets that would make a forensic accountant cry. By the end of the week, she had timelines, pie charts, and a simple flowchart showing exactly how Patty's personal LLC had received administrative consulting fees, totaling $68,000. Every landscaping assessment that somehow only improved Patty's backyard. Every emergency dock repair that never happened but paid her cousin's company top dollar. Mia looked up from her laptop, eyes shining. Dad, she's not just breaking rules. She's stealing from everyone. But the real bombshell came when Mia cross-referenced county development applications. Pinnacle Properties, a big developer, was quietly buying up lakefront parcels, and Patty had met with them 6 times in the last 4 months. The original deed for the entire community included a permanent family access easement that made any major condo development illegal. Mia connected the dots faster than I could. She's taking bribes to force people out so they can flip the land. And she knew the HOA wasn't even legal. That night, Patty called my cell. "We need to discuss compliance tomorrow at 2, Mr. Whitaker. Bring your checkbook." I smiled into the phone. "We'll be there. Both of us." After I hung up, Mia looked at me with that calm, terrifying determination only a kid who's already lost everything can have. "Dad, can I bring my binder?" I ruffled her hair, the first time she didn't flinch away in months. "Wouldn't miss it for the world, kiddo." The HOA office was actually a converted garden shed behind Patty's house that smelled like mothballs and broken dreams. Patty sat behind a folding table flanked by her 3 loyal cronies, looking every inch the concerned community leader. She didn't expect Mia to walk in carrying a 3-ring binder thicker than the covenant itself, color-coded tabs gleaming like battle flags. "Mrs. Hargrove," Mia began, voice steady as steel, "we've been reviewing the documents. Found some interesting things." Patty waved a dismissive hand. "Young lady, this is adult business." Mia opened the binder to the first tab. "Actually, it's everyone's business. According to the Colorado Secretary of State, your HOA stopped being a legal corporation 3 years ago." She laid out printed pages like a dealer laying down a royal flush. 2018 registration, 3 years of missed filings, the automatic dissolution notice. The room went graveyard quiet. One board member leaned forward. "Patty, what is she talking about?" Patty's face drained of color. "Administrative technicalities." Mia cut her off politely. "Mom taught me facts aren't technicalities. They're truth. And the truth is you've been collecting dues and issuing fines with no authority." She walked them through every chart, every timeline, every dollar Patty had funneled into her own pocket. Board member Frank's jaw dropped when Mia showed the landscaping money that had paid for Patty's new stone fountain. Rose, Frank's wife, turned slowly. "We've been paying dues to a ghost company?" Mr. Ruiz stood up from the back. "There's more. I saw her meeting with those Pinnacle developers, surveying our docks like they already owned them." Mia flipped to the next section. "The original deed has a family access easement. Any development violates federal law. So either Mrs. Hargrove didn't know, which makes her incompetent, or she did know and she's committing fraud." The silence that followed was so complete you could hear the lake lapping outside. Patty finally found her voice, shrill and cracking. "I will not be lectured by a child who doesn't understand adult responsibilities." Mia looked her dead in the eye. "Mom always said adults who yell instead of explaining are usually wrong." The board erupted. Frank demanded full financial records on the spot. Rose called for an emergency all-homeowner meeting, the real one this time. As we walked out, Mia slipped her hand into mine. "Dad, is it bad that I'm kinda excited to watch her face when everyone finds out?" I squeezed back. "No, Peanut. Your mom would be proud." The psychological warfare phase was pure Mia genius. Instead of storming Patty's castle, we let her paranoia do the heavy lifting. Coalition members, now 8 households strong, started showing up at board meetings asking innocent questions Mia had scripted. Could we see the last 3 years of bank statements? Why did the emergency dock repair cost $15,000 when Mr. Ruiz says the materials were only $3,000? Patty's smiles grew tighter, her cardigans more aggressively pastel, her Lexus sightings more frequent and frantic. She tried one last desperate play, slapping a $2,500 special assessment on our cabin specifically, citing structural concerns for high-risk families. The notice arrived in everyone's mailbox the same day, claiming families with children were elevated liability. Mia read it and actually laughed, the first real laugh since Claire died. She's targeting me because I exist. We filed the corporate reinstatement paperwork in secret that same afternoon, restoring the HOA under the original Democratic bylaws. Patty had no idea her throne was now legally made of cardboard. By Friday, the neighborhood was buzzing. Kids Mia had recruited as research assistants helped gather 23 petition signatures in 2 days, almost half the community. The emergency meeting was set for Saturday morning. Patty still thought she was dealing with a sad dad and a quiet kid. She had no clue she was about to face a 12-year-old with a photographic memory, a binder full of receipts, and zero tolerance for bullies who weaponize grief. Saturday dawned crisp and bright. The community center parking lot overflowed. 43 of 47 homeowners, plus the Channel 7 News van I'd quietly tipped off. Mia carried her binder like a shield. At the entrance she paused. "This isn't just about us anymore, is it?" "No, kiddo," I said. "It's about every family here who's ever been afraid to plant flowers or let their kids laugh too loud." She squared her shoulders and walked in like she owned the place. Patty arrived late, lawyer in tow, still radiating confidence. The retired judge we'd recruited as facilitator called the meeting to order. Petitioners first. Patty immediately objected. "This entire proceeding is out of order." The judge smiled thinly. "Homeowner business, ma'am. The young lady may proceed." Mia stepped to the podium, adjusted the mic, and began in the same clear voice that once asked a million questions about the stars. "My name is Mia Whitaker. My mom died 8 months ago. Mrs. Hargrove has been using that to hurt my family. But Mom taught me truth matters more than comfort." You could have heard a pin drop on the linoleum. She opened the binder and started laying out evidence like a prosecutor closing the biggest case of her life. Corporate dissolution papers, embezzlement timelines, the developer emails Mr. Ruiz had secretly recorded, the easement violation that made Patty's secret deal impossible. When Mia played the audio of Patty promising the developers she'd clear out problem families, the room gasped. When she showed the pie chart of where everyone's dues had actually gone, straight into Patty's personal LLC, the gasps turned to angry murmurs. Patty's lawyer whispered frantically. Patty herself stood up, voice shaking. "This is ridiculous. I have protected property values for 14 years while people like you bring chaos." Mia looked straight at her. "Mom taught me that people who hide behind standards usually have the most to hide." The vote for no confidence passed 39-4. The motion to pursue criminal charges passed unanimously. The sheriff's deputy stepped forward. "Ma'am, you'll want to call a criminal defense attorney. This young lady's documentation is grand jury ready." Patty stormed out screaming empty threats about lawsuits, her perfect bob finally disheveled, pearls clutched so tight they might snap. The community surrounded Mia with hugs and thank yous. Old Mrs. Ruiz had tears in her eyes. "You saved us, sweetheart." Mia just smiled. The real, bright, clear smile I hadn't seen in forever. Mom would be proud. 2 weeks later, criminal charges were filed: embezzlement, fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. We recovered $73,000 in restitution. Patty was forced to sell her McMansion and slink out of Evergreen Lake Estates in the same white Lexus that once ruled the roads. The new bylaws Mia helped draft are simple: term limits, transparent budgets, no more beige tyranny. Dues dropped 30%. Kids ride bikes without fear. Laughter after 7 p.m. is now officially encouraged. Mia designed the Claire Whitaker Memorial Garden herself. Sunflowers for joy, lavender for peace, a reading bench overlooking the lake. Every morning, she tends her mom's roses before school. Every evening we sit on that bench and talk about the day. She started a junior community council for the neighborhood kids, teaching them civic engagement and how to spot a bully in pastel clothing. The story went viral. Channel 7 called it 12-year-old Takes Down HOA Empire. Mia gets letters from kids across the country dealing with their own tyrants. She's even writing a free kids guide to HOA rights we're putting online. But the best part? The swing set she finally got to install, bright purple, right where Claire used to read to her. Some afternoons, I catch her swinging with a law book in one hand and a sketchbook in the other, humming the same tune Claire used to play on that piano. So here's the question that keeps me up at night, and maybe it'll keep you thinking too. Was Patricia Hargrove the real villain of Evergreen Lake Estates? Or were the grieving Whitakers the ones who actually disrupted the so-called peace? Drop your answer below. Was the HOA Karen wrong, or did the family push too far? Because after everything, I still wonder who really broke the rules first.